Hello students, today we will do Kingdom Protista. So let us begin. So Kingdom Protista includes all these single-celled eukaryotes. What does this mean? Single cell means they have only one cell. These are not multicellular. And eukaryotes means they have true nucleus. Right? So the organisms which have single cell and those who have true nucleus are placed under kingdom Protista. It forms a connecting link between Monera, which you have studied, the kingdom which you have studied earlier, which includes bacteria. So it forms connecting link between monerans and the kingdom like plants, animals and fungi. So it is the connecting link between Monera and the higher kingdoms like plants, animals and fungi. So members of Protista are primarily aquatic. Protestant cell body contains a well-defined nucleus, as I have already stated. It has a well-defined nucleus, that's why it is a eukaryote. And its other organelles are membrane bound. Okay, whereas monerans, if you remember, they do not possess membrane bound organelles. Right, so Protista has membrane bound organelles and they have a membrane bound nucleus also. Some have flagella and some have cilia. These are the locomotory organelles. Protista reproduce either asexually or sexually, and it reproduces sexually by a process which involves cell fusion or zygote formation. So what is the mode of nutrition in case of Protista? They can be either parasitic, that means they can survive in the living tissue of other organisms and cause diseases. Ingestive means they can ingest the food particles like amoeba. Photosynthetic like euglena, which has chloroplast. Saprophytic, which lives on the dead and decaying matter, is saprophytic. Then mixotrophic, again euglena is mixotrophic, means which is both heterotrophic as well as photosynthetic. So this group also includes photosynthetic phytoplanktons like algae and non-photosynthetic zooplanktons. What are zooplanktons? Which feeds on phytoplanktons. Phytoplanktons are the ones which can produce their own food as they are photosynthetic. And the non-photosynthetic zooplankton, these cannot produce their own food. So they, like crustacean. Crustaceans are zooplanktons and then they feed on phytoplanktons. These zooplanktons are animals and phytoplanktons are plants. And these can be disease causing parasites as well. Food reserve in protistans are starch, glycogen, paramylin, which is a polymer of glucose, and chrysolaminarin is a polysaccharide, and also fat. So all these organisms are included under the kingdom Protista. First is chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime mold, protozoans. These are included under the kingdom Protista. First, we will study about chrysophytes. Chrysophytes include diatoms and golden algae, which is also known as desmids. They can live in fresh water also and they can be marine also. Marine means they can live in sea also. They are microscopic. Microscopic means you cannot see them with naked eye, and they float passively in water currents. They are free floating. They float on the water currents, and such kind of organisms are known as planktons. Planktons. So chrysophytes are planktons, means they are free floating. Majority of them are photosynthetic. That means they can produce their own food. Diatoms, this is very important. That's why I put a star here. Diatoms are the chief producers in the oceans. So if the question comes regarding chief producers in oceans, it is diatoms. And what are diatoms? These are chrysophytes. In diatoms, the cell walls have two thin overlapping shells, as you can see in this diagram. Two thin overlapping shells are there, and these fit together like a soap box. The walls are enclosed with silica. So there is silica deposition in the walls, and so the walls are very resistant and these are indestructible. These diatoms, they pile up at the bottom of the water reservoirs and forms big heaps, and these big heaps are known as diatomaceous earth. Again, a very important question. And silica deposition, where is it found? In the walls of diatoms. And what are diatoms? These are chrysophytes. And what are chrysophytes? These are protistans. Being gritty, gritty means like sandy, in texture. So they are gritty in texture. What this diatomaceous earth is sandy, it is gritty in texture, and that's why it is used in polishing, filtration of oils and syrups. Next is dinoflagellates. Dinoflagellates, let's do this now. Dinoflagellates are mostly marine, and they are photosynthetic. That means they are autotrophs. They appear, these are various shades of colors: yellow, green, brown, blue and red. And this variation of color is due to the change in proportion of various pigments present in their cell wall. So there is deposition of various pigments in their cell. That's why they come in various shades. Dinoflagellates, their cell wall has stiff cellulose plates. You can see here, stiff cellulose plates are there in the cell wall, okay, on the outer surface. Most of them have two flagella. One is longitudinal and other one is transverse, which lies in the furrow between the wall plates. So here is the longitudinal flagella, and the other one will lie longitudinally in between the furrow between the two wall plates. Then there are red dinoflagellates also. What are these? Example of red dinoflagellates is goniolox. It undergoes rapid multiplication, and that's why it makes the sea appear red, because of its rapid multiplication. So that's why these are called red dinoflagellates, because they make the sea appear red. Toxins are released by such large numbers that they can even kill other marine animals such as fishes. So again, a very important question. And they show bioluminescence. Why they show bioluminescence? Because bioluminescence means they glow due to the presence of photogenic granules in the cytoplasm. Again, a very important question. And they are also known as, that's why they are also known as night light, because of this property of bioluminescence exhibited by goniolox. Some species of dinoflagellates are taken as food by mussels. So the mussels eat these red dinoflagellates. Next is euglenoids. Euglenoids, you can see here in the picture, they are freshwater organisms not found in marine environment. They are found in stagnant water. The water which is still is stagnant water. They have a protein rich layer called pellicle instead of cell wall, which makes their body flexible. So I have marked pellicle here. So instead of cell wall, they have protein rich layer pellicle, which makes its body flexible. And they again have two flagella, like two flagella was present in dinoflagellates. Here also they have two flagella. Okay. So one of the flagella is short one and the other one is long. Here you can see this is short flagella and this is long flagella. Okay, you can mark here as it is important. This is long flagella. Okay, children. And here this is short flagella. If you have marked in the diagram itself, you will not forget the details. They are photogenic in presence of sunlight. This is very important. They are photosynthetic in presence of sunlight, but when they are deprived of sunlight, they behave like heterotrophs. And when they are heterotrophs, they predate on smaller organisms. Means they show two kinds of nutrition, which is known as mixotrophic nutrition. Okay, I'm writing it here for you. They show mixotrophic nutrition. Okay, why mixotrophic? Because they are both photosynthetic and heterotrophs also. The pigments of euglenoids are similar to those which are present in higher plants. Example is euglena. Next is slime molds. Slime molds are saprophytic protists. Saprophytes means they feed on dead and decaying matter. And that's why they are also known as fungus animals. Important question. The body moves along decaying twigs and leaves engulfing organic materials. So, the body moves along because they are slime molds and they dwell on the dead and decaying matter, which is what decaying matter? Decaying twigs and leaves are there. So, they live there and they engulf the organic matter which is formed by the decaying twigs and leaves. Under suitable conditions, they form an aggregation. So, when the conditions are suitable, they form an aggregation which is known as plasmodium, which may grow and spread over several feet. So, this plasmodium grows big and it spreads over several feet. And during unfavorable condition, the plasmodium differentiates and forms fruiting bodies bearing spores. So, when the conditions are suitable, they form plasmodium. When the conditions are not suitable, they form spores. And where do they form spores? At the tips. The spores possess true walls. They are extremely resistant and survive for many years. Even under adverse conditions, the spores are dispersed by air currents. So, an example of slime molds is Physarum. Okay, children. Next is protozoans. Protozoans, all protozoans are heterotrophs. They are not photosynthetic, they are heterotrophs. They live either as predators or parasites. Here is important question. They are called primitive relatives of animals. That means ancestors of animals. Protozoans are ancestors of animals. And on the basis of their locomotory organelles, protozoans are divided into four major groups. First is amoeboid protozoans. Amoeboid protozoans means they form false foot. Okay. They form false foot which is known as pseudopodia, and example is amoeba. They live in fresh water, seawater and moist soil also. So important is in the places where moisture is present, these are found. Some of them such as Entamoeba are parasites. Entamoeba histolytica causes amoebic dysentery. They move and capture their food by pseudopodia, as I have already stated. Marine forms have silica shells on their surface. So, where have you studied silica shells earlier? You remember that? Silica shells were found over here in diatoms. So similarly, silica shells are also found in marine forms of amoeboid protozoans. Flagellated protozoans is the second type of protozoan. Why flagellated? Because flagella is present in them. So they can be either free living or parasitic. They have flagella, that's why these are known as flagellated protozoans. The parasitic forms cause diseases. For example, trypanosoma causes sleeping sickness. Trypanosoma gambiense causes sleeping sickness. Its vector is tsetse fly. Leishmania donovani causes kala azar or dum-dum fever. The parasite is transmitted by sandfly. This is the vector here. Giardia intestinalis causes giardiasis disease. Trypanosoma cruzi causes South American trypanosomiasis called Chagas disease. So you have to learn this as it is given in the book. You have to learn it by heart. Next is ciliated protozoans. Ciliated protozoans means they have cilia. Example is paramecium. So they are aquatic. They actively moving organisms due to the presence of number of cilia. The cilia shows coordinated movement of rows. The movement is not individual here, like in case of flagella. Here they show coordinated movement, and they cause the water laden with food to be stirred into the gullet. Here you can see a gullet. It is an opening that opens to the outside of the cell surface, and from the water laden with food is stirred here into the gullet with the help of cilia. Okay, they have a cavity which is gullet that opens to the outside of the cell surface. Example is paramecium. Here it is very important point. Ciliates show nuclear dimorphism. Then what does this mean? It has two types of nucleus. One is macronucleus, other is micronucleus. Macronucleus controls metabolic activities and growth. It is also called vegetative nucleus. And the micronucleus is the one which takes part in reproduction, and it is also known as reproductive nucleus. Next comes sporozoans. All sporozoans are endoparasites. That means they live inside the body of their host. Locomotory organs are absent in case of sporozoans. Important question. Okay, locomotory organs are not present in sporozoans. They include diverse organisms that have an infectious spore-like stage in this cell cycle. That is why they are known as sporozoans, because they have infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. And the most notorious type of sporozoan is Plasmodium, which is malarial parasite. So Plasmodium is a sporozoan which causes malaria, and it leaves a staggering effect on human population. So we are done with Protista today. Okay. Tomorrow we will start with kingdom fungi.